Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning back into the Your Gray Matters podcast for this week. I'm Jason, along with my dad, Neil. Hello, how are you?
Good. Hi, everybody.
Good, good. So just at the top, we wanted to mention that you may notice a couple audio issues right at the beginning, just a little bit of feedback, and then again towards the middle. Not very bad. I don't think you'll notice anything, but if you do, it's expected. Other than that, I thought it was a fantastic episode. The audio didn't take away from it at all. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Canadian Association of Retired Persons. We're Your Gray Matters. We're dealing with whether you have gray hair or no hair or red hair, but come on, we know what's under there. This is a great organization for baby boomers, seniors, but actually they don't really have any age restrictions. Rudy Buttignol is the president. We've got him on today. Come with us on a journey to learn about CARP. It is a great organization.
Absolutely. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Anything you can do to get the word out is much appreciated. And as always, email any questions or comments to yourgraymatterspod@gmail.com. Thanks very
Thanks,
much.
everybody. Take
Enjoy.
care, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm Neil from Your Gray Matters. You already know that. And as you know, whether you have gray hair or no hair or red hair, but come on, we know what's hiding under there. We're really excited to have you back with Your Gray Matters. I am really excited today. In this podcasting, I'm new to it, as you know, and I'm almost 70, and I thought I'd go in this direction. I was privileged to be in contact this week with our guest, Rudy Buttignol. He's going to kill me if I didn't say that right. Rudy is actually the president of CARP, Canadian Association of Retired Persons. I'm a member, my bride is. What a great, great organization. And I reached out to Rudy about a week ago, and the gentleman was kind enough to get right back to me, and here we are today. I have to tell you, Rudy has a long history of success. He holds the Order of Canada, so I'm extra thrilled to have Rudy on today. He's got a long history in film and TV production. He's an important person when it comes to the International Film Festival. He's done very important documentaries. Then he went and retired. And then along comes Moses Neimer from Zoomer. I apologize if I blew your name, sir. And I will tell you, we're lucky because he became the president of CARP. Rudy, welcome to Your Gray Matters. We're excited to have you here.
Well, thank you very much, Neil. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak with your audience.
And we're very thankful to have you. As I said, Linda and I have been members of CARP. I'm fascinated by the organization, but it might surprise you to know that I'm privileged, as is my bride, Linda. Both of us have our mothers. Linda's mother's 92, still living on her own, and mother's 91, still living on her own, although right now she's vacationing in a hospital due to a broken foot. However, the reason I brought it up is because my mother-in-law told me recently that she was very friendly with the original creator of CARP, Lillian Morgenthau. And
Yes.
so she was very excited that we're doing this. And I guess Lillian and her late husband, Murray, played such a major role in CARP. And I thought that I would just like to mention them. But that was many years ago. And today we're here today. And I'm wondering if you might just tell us in your own words, for those who don't know, tell us about CARP, tell us why you got involved in it, and what your joy point is with this great organization.
Well, I was, ending a long 3-decade career in public broadcasting in British Columbia, and as well as I started in Ontario, but ended in British Columbia. And Moses and Eimer called me and asked me if I was really going to hang it up And I said, no, not really, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so we started talking, and over the course of some months, looking at his, Zoomer media platforms. And what interested me most was the Canadian Association of Retired Persons.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it because it was in alignment with my own career as a public service broadcaster. With public service broadcaster, public TV, there's two primary audiences: the very young,
Mm-hmm.
and older folks. Really, 50 plus, 55 plus are the predominant audiences. And I learned over that period of time just how underserved older people are.
Mm-hmm.
And but worse than underserved, they're also kind of dismissed. It's a case of when I would be on international panels and they would add with other broadcasters from around the world, the question we would always get was, what are you doing for the younger audience?
Yeah.
And everybody would come up with their idea of trying to, well, we're doing all sorts of whatever the hot thing was of the day, the shiny new thing of the day.
Yep.
That's what they were doing to try to get that 18 to 45 audience, or some demographic there that advertisers truly prize. And they would talk about it, and they'd come to me, and I'd say, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to do anything, because that audience with all media is incredibly overserved.
Yes.
Because advertisers want that. And this large demographic, people 55 plus, even 50 plus, but is huge and growing more, and it's very underserved.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons it's underserved, it's not of value to a lot of advertisers, but there also is a cultural aspect in North America where we dismiss people after a certain age.
Yes.
As if somehow their lifelong accomplishments don't count anymore, and that somehow they just fall off the radar map, when in fact these are the should be the glory years. I've often said that retirement or the autumn years of our lives are it's not a condition to be endured. It's a milestone. It's a celebration in life. I've said, you can't buy being a senior.
Yeah.
You have to live long enough.
Yeah, you have to earn it.
And you have to earn it, and people lose sight of it. I do a lot of international moderating forums in Asia and Europe, and the attitude towards older people in Asia, particularly, and I'm thinking of countries like Korea and Japan, where I have a lot of experience in, and Taiwan. They venerate older people. Older people know stuff. And in North America, the language is really telling. People refer to seniors now, but if you think of it, it used to be senior citizen. In other words,
that's right.
It's a higher degree of citizenship, and we refer mostly to the elderly, which I think of. That's the seat you give somebody. The seat you give up for somebody in a subway, as opposed to being the elders.
Yes.
We're not the elderly, we're the elders, and elders know stuff. And so CARP was an association whose values aligned with mine, and that was to both recognize the value of senior citizens, of the elders in society, to value them and make sure their interests are represented in government, and more so through advocacy and education. And my role will be cultural, that we also have to create a cultural change to remind people that, not only is this 50 plus, is, almost 38% of the population. And one needs to pay attention to those folks, not just in terms of better health care and dealing with home care and the disaster that was long-term care facilities during the pandemic, but that culturally we need to make a shift too, and realize, these group of people are the people that built the country. We should be venerating them and honoring them, not kind of shoving them away. I take real exception to the concept of the granny cottage or the granny suite, and it's like, hey, I want to live in the main house.
Exactly. My mother would knock me into next week if I use that term.
Exactly. It's like we built the darn thing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, it's fascinating what you're saying, because I'm in the mortgage business, in the money business, when I'm not podcasting, and it's interesting because what I'm learning, and I'm a part of it, is we we elders, we want to live in our homes. We want to get old in our homes as long as we can. We want to be productive. Nothing's changed. There's an old terrible joke that says nobody wants to die, but everybody wants to go to heaven. And, you know, along with that, it's like nobody wants to be a senior citizen, but we all want to live long. And God willing, for everybody, you're going to get to where I am, just starting a podcast at age 70, if you want. And so I love what you said. We are the elders. We are the experienced. We offer a lot. That doesn't make us the so-called elderly that can't contribute anymore. That was brilliant what you said. And you're quite right, Rudy, quite right.
Yeah. And the elders, we know stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, I always say I got gray hair and I earned every bloody one of them. And we all do. You know, it's interesting. Yeah. I have to ask you, I wanted to ask you, before we get to the real benefits and the reasons that people should join CARP, and I'm very big on advocacy. I must tell you, I was on a morning radio this morning talking about some of the things going on right now in the country. And it was fun to do it because they asked me to come on as a senior and give a perspective. And that was kind of fun. But, you know, I want to ask you the hardest question today that I'm going to come up with for you, which is simply, what's the biggest challenge facing seniors today, besides the fact that Led Zeppelin is no longer touring?
Well, I think it's a forthcoming challenge, and that is that there's a great shift in away from institutional thinking. And it comes to aging in place, as it's called now, I think, home care.
Yes.
You talk to almost anyone, and they go, where would you like to see your last moments spent? And everybody says, in my own bed, in my own home.
Exactly.
And that's a huge cultural shift, and you know, and that's, we have to our medical health system is so institutionalized that they have these, it's so expensive to go into a care facility. It's really expensive to go into a hospital. It's way less expensive to keep people at home with the proper supports.
Mm-hmm.
But because it doesn't fit into the institutional mode, governments would rather spend thousands of dollars a day to support you in a institution, rather than maybe the hundreds of dollars a day to help a loved one, looked out for a loved one. Yes. Because that's I think that keeps people motivated. I've lost my mother a year ago, and had to put her in a home in the last years of her life, and she didn't like it. Couldn't get the proper home care. I was living in another city. My sibling, my younger sister, had passed away years earlier, and there were just no supports for home, to keep my mom at home. And I know that going into a care facility just accelerated her loss of interest in life. And I think people, that loss of interest is what demotivates people to look after themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if we're not motivated and we're not taking care of ourselves, then we really don't have a chance for a future. And so you're quite right. I was reading on the CARP website about the Canada Caregiver Tax Credit. I actually hadn't heard of that before. And I know that you're concerned because it's non-refundable, this tax credit. I'm wondering if you could talk about that home care tax credit or caregiver tax credit for a minute.
Well, essentially, I'm new to the job, so I don't have the details down from our chief advocacy officer, but the concept is basically that we want to make it as financially, incentivize caregivers to stay at home and look after their loved one. Right. And that it's a lot more effective, and it's certainly better to have someone who loves you or knows you and cares for you to be able to be incentivized financially to help you at home.
Yes.
you know, and governments have been reluctant to, like, you know, hey, we don't want to pay your neighbor to look after you, whereas you know, a few dollars a day, whereas we're willing to spend thousands of dollars a day in an institutional setting.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, yeah, and so there's, you know, you've got to ask why, and I think that that's the part of the cultural change that we need to help institute, that somehow it feels, on one hand, it feels like you're giving people free money, which you're not. But we're gladly spend it into an institution because it's an institution. We can see the bricks and mortar and have all the accountability that institutions have, but there's no love in an institution. You know, the one thing they can't do is they can't love you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, and that's the big added plus to incentivize caregivers, ideally family members or close friends, incentivize them through a tax credit to be able to take time off and care for an individual. And, you know, the fact that the individual stays at home is much better for their mental health. And the fact that if it's a loved one or someone that cares for you, it's, you know, you'll never get that in an institution. You know? So
Yes.
home care and home care is, I think it's the, you know, the baby boomers, of which I'm part of. There's a total attitudinal changes that says, hey, you know, with some modification, I can stay at home. I don't want to go into some
Absolutely.
cold place. You know, I'm sure there's professionals to look after you professionally, but, you know, after 8 hours, their time's up to go home and somebody else takes over.
Exactly. And I'm with you 100%. I'm very much involved in trying to stay in my own home. And you know, what you're doing is so important for that. The advocacy, the time that it takes to speak to people in the government and to get change. It's an ongoing process. And luckily we have CARP. You know, it's really fascinating too, because I recently did one of these podcasts, one of my podcasts on volunteering. I'm a huge believer in getting involved, and especially for we senior citizens. We have the knowledge, and if we have the energy and we have the health, you can pick your favorite charity, political party, anything to get involved in and still help to make change. I greatly believe in making change from the inside and getting involved. And I really encourage people to do that, especially the 50 plus group, to not just write the occasional letter or wonder about things or feel unempowered. You are empowered. That's why we live in this country. But I think it gives you life. I really do.
You know, my approach to, you know, CARP, to the Canadian Association of Retired People, is, you know, join the community. And the community is about being together, advocating together, learning together, and as a community, together our voices are stronger. You know, and you're not alone. And that's what the benefit is of joining a CARP. And most people join because they believe in the advocacy aspect. So for me, the approach that I'm taking is, we're going to put the community out there first. Join because at the core, you're doing something for your community. You're bettering your own community. And by the way, because of what we've been able to arrange with our partnership with our parent company, Zoomer Media, we also have these great benefits that you can make back your $20 membership the first time you use it. And we've got trusted partners and benefit partners. And so it's, you know, come together mostly because you believe in bettering your community. And by the way, because other people appreciate what you're doing, you can take advantage of these benefits. And but it's, in Canada, it's the depth of civil society, volunteer groups, that really strengthen the fabric of life here. You know, if sometimes it's invisible because governments get all the oxygen in publicity, but you forget, or it's easy for societies to forget, Canadians to forget, that really the fabric of life here, the quality of community life is civil society, whether it's your neighbors, your community, and all the countless volunteer groups where people they volunteer to do something just because they think it's good for the community, and their reward is they get to spend a few hours with like-minded people and keeps them company, and maybe they'll get a free t-shirt every once in a while, but really they do it because it betters the community and they feel better by doing it. So civil society groups are really the hidden power behind the value, the quality of life in Canada, and CARP is able to enable groups across Canada that way. That's one of the big differences between CARP and a lot of other associations, is we're not just a national body forming policy at the national level, but we support 23 chapters across Canada, where they lend us their voice. So we're truly a nationally representative group, but also we support them to advocate at the local level, because of course healthcare is by and large a provincial matter. So we're able to support the chapters in the various provinces so they can advocate on behalf of what's important to that particular province.
Yes, and that makes so much sense. And when you're involved in something and you enjoy it, then you look forward to it each and every day. And it's a real mover for any human being, but for we senior citizens, it is important, and we have a lot to offer and a lot to lend to people. And you know what? It's interesting, because when I talked about volunteering, the truth is also very self-satisfying and self-serving. You grow as a person just because you're 50 plus. It's okay to still grow and still learn and still experience, and be able to use that info that you have stored up in this thing that we call a brain. And so I agree with you, and standing up for ourselves is standing up for future generations, and it's really, really important. I love what you do, I have to tell you that, but I had a very interesting thing happen today. I got a message on my phone from CARP early this morning, a promo for a company called Silverts has joined CARP. I'm a Silver.
Yes.
That company was started decades ago by my late great uncle. And I just thought, what a day this is to get introduced, so
I was wondering that, I got the notice and I thought, could that be a coincidence?
that is some kind of coincidence. Well, soon you'll have Your Gray Matters as a regular. Anyway,
Oh, that's fantastic.
Rudy, how can people join? What should they do to get involved in CARP? Please give everybody the chance to join up today. How should they do it?
The easiest way is to go on your online and go to carp.ca and join up, and that's the easiest thing to do. It's $20 a year, and an extra $10 a year you get the Zoomer magazine, which is a real bargain. But carp.ca,
yeah.
And that's to become a member. And if you want to get involved, you'll be directed to a local chapter near you. There's chapters all over Canada. Of course, many of them are here in Ontario. I'm going to be building up the British Columbia chapters, but you get involved and become a member, and then ideally see what's happening with your local chapter, get involved in the events, the special meetings, the AGMs, and maybe even go on a board and dig in. Yeah. But just joining up is the first thing. It's together we're stronger in numbers, and so that's really important. And by joining, you help Canadians as a whole, but you can, with the benefits, you can also save a few dollars, which I know becomes critical for a lot of people as they move from salaries to fixed incomes with pension plans and the like. So there's some really important savings, particularly with some of our partners. We have a big partnership with the CAA, Canadian Automobile Association, great travel and auto insurance. And we've just launched a new partnership with Rogers Wireless, powered by Zoomer. And that's in fantastic breaks, but become a member, carp.ca.
Yeah, and we're very glad that we did, my bride and I, and we've had some friends sign up, and it's just another wonderful additive to our lives as senior citizens. I'm going to keep saying the two words now instead of seniors. And Rudy, I can't thank you enough. We are so excited to have you on Your Gray Matters podcast. I thank you so much. When I reached out to you, and I think that this is so important, I reached out to you and you got back to me quickly. And that is a sign of a well-run organization. And I do thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Reach out to CARP, CARP.ca. It's well worth your time. It's well worth your membership. With that, Rudy, thank you very much. And I'm sure that we will see each other again soon. Take care. Be well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Your Gray Matters podcast. The Your Gray Matters podcast was created by Neil Silvert and Jason Silvert, written and hosted by Neil Silvert, edited by me, Jason Silvert, and produced by Neil Silvert and Jason Silvert. Please follow us on any major podcast platform, watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, and email us at yourgraymatterspod@gmail.com with any questions or feedback. Thanks for listening.
Views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Your Gray Matters podcast. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The Your Gray Matters podcast name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.